a little switch of positions here today. Bill on the keyboard, Jed's playing the guitar, but you know, they play, I think, probably every instrument there is, so don't you guys? Yeah. Yeah.
I know how to play horns.
You don't? You're kidding. You just don't have the lips
Or
for it.
violins.
I bet you could learn real quick, though. I bet you could. Anyway, today my message is titled, I Am Time in Motion. And some of you have heard me say that time is expansive, but you might kind of wonder what that means and what that means for you. And today, we're going to explore that. We're going to see what time is expansive means for our spiritual journey and figure out how we can be in that mode of realizing that time is expansive. But first, we're going to affirm together our statements of truth. So, there we go. I am a child of God. I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now. Well, I got a question for you. How many of you think God has a watch? Good. All of you have been paying attention then. Because, yeah, God doesn't have a watch. But I'm happy that you understand that. But if God doesn't own a watch, then why are we so concerned with time? You know? I know that our entire lives revolve around time. We have to be at a certain place at a certain time. We start the church at a service at a certain time. All these things. We eat and sleep at certain times. And we have to go to work. We go to the movies at certain times. And even our days off are scheduled into our lives by time. But time is expansive. So why can't we see that? We have enough time for all we need to do if we forget about the clock. We must realize that time is not minutes or hours, but freedom of thoughts, words, and actions moving through our consciousness. Time is expansive when we align our consciousness with divine mind. Can you do that? Fillmore says this in Adam's Smashing Power of Mind. He says, as we come to a realization of an entirely different consciousness, new relations are set up that it is sometimes difficult to explain to one who believes in time and space. And this is where I think we get our hang-up, is that whole idea of time and space. And I think all of us here have been having new realizations in our consciousness. I think that's why we continue to come back. That's why we continue to grow. And yet, we know that we're here to develop that consciousness, to be a greater expression of ourselves and have a greater understanding, correct? Mm-hmm. But like I explained a few weeks ago, we have to know what we believe in order to grow spiritually and in order to unfold all that we are in beingness. We have to be able to explain what we believe, and we have to be able to explain how we view time. So what is time and space? Well, first we must know that cosmology is the study or origin, evolution, and eventual fate of the universe. And in cosmology, here we go, a little science lesson for you. The concept of space-time combines space and time to a single abstract universe. Mathematically, and who likes math besides Reverend Warren? Oh, there's a few people holding up their arms, so good. You guys need to form a little club. It is a manifold consisting of events which are described by some type of coordinate system, which I like the little picture to help me understand this. But typically 3 spatial dimensions, length, width, height, and 1 temporal dimension, which is time, are required to be able to understand that. Everybody got that? But all I can say about all that is, okay then, what does that mean for us? Because and I don't get me wrong, I do understand the importance of this terminology and understanding this to some degree. If we're all getting in a spaceship and heading out to space, we're going to know this, right? We're going to know how much time it's going to take us to get to the moon and how much time to get back, and we'll need to know all those increments and stuff. But that's if we're searching for something outside of us, and it applies the same. If we're looking out there for all the things that we want spiritually, then we might as well get on the spaceship and head to the moon and do all the math that it takes to do the space and time thing. Because if but everything that we are searching for is within us. I mean, spiritually, everything that we are searching for is within us. We just have to unfold it. And so it doesn't really matter. Because all of that is outside of us, causing time and space, is just an illusion. It's an illusion. I mean, they've even proven that with our clocks that are made today, if you take your clock and you travel around the world, your clock will not register the correct time as you travel around. They've proven that. So right there, that should tell you that time, your clock and time is not important because it's not going to keep up with what's happening anyway, and that's one reason to even look at the idea of why time could be important or not. But I lived a lot of my life on a 30-minute schedule, and I had to pay attention to the clock all the time, and I usually ran late, But one day I took, and it used to drive me crazy, but one day I took to prayer, and I asked, I said, what can I do to run on time, to quit being late, to be able to, just stay on time somewhat? And you see, I had researched that people that run late typically are trying to control other people. That's why they run late. You have that friend that always shows up late? Usually it's because they're trying to control somebody else. And believe it or not, me running late was not the reason I wasn't trying to control people. People were trying to control me. Because a lot of times it was them running late that caused me to run late, which made my whole day get messed up. But the clock was always in the forefront of my mind. I was always watching the clock. I had to do this at a certain time. I had to do that at a certain time. But one morning, so anyway, I did a lot of prayer, and I was thinking about, why is this happening in my life, and how can I get over this? So one morning, I was laying in bed, and that stupid alarm clock went off, and it started buzzing. That sound? And I just was like, oh, it's grating on my nerves, and I thought, that's what's wrong. That clock is making me crazy. If I don't look at that clock, and I don't listen to that clock, it's not going to put me in a bad mood. It's not going to be anything that I have to base my life on, right? So I decided from then on I wasn't going to use the alarm clock anymore. Now, I did at first set the alarm clock for 30 minutes later because I want to make sure I didn't run late. But I just told myself what time I was going to get up. If I said I was going to wake up at 7:42, I would wake up at 7:42. And 30 years later, I still don't use an alarm clock. I still have the same alarm clock because all I use it for is to be able to read the time in the middle of the night, or use it as a nightlight to get to the bathroom because it's right on the way. But I have the same alarm clock because I've never used the alarm. I quit using the alarm. And I can go to sleep and wake up at whatever time I need to do because I know that time is just a thing, like saying a prayer or eating or sleeping. But when that alarm went off, all it reminded me of is all the things I had to get done. It was time to get up. It was time for my next client. It was time for me to do that. This clock had a power over me as if I was a 2-year-old. And I decided I didn't want that to have power over me anymore. I had to release it. I even tried the music and I tried the white noise because everybody suggested all those things, but none of that stuff worked for me. So I just decided I was going to create this new time and space for myself. And it is easy to do. And if we do that, it can switch a lot of things later on in the day. Because, see, time does not have to control us. Even though we live in a world based on clocks, we don't have to allow it to control us, and especially on a spiritual aspect. And because time is just a tool. It just helps us get through the day and keeps us aligned with the rest of the world. If you're at home alone doing whatever you're doing, does time really matter? No. Nobody's saying, I'm sorry, you better go to the bathroom, it's 10 o'clock, Or, oh, it's 12:06, you need to go eat. No. I mean, you just go through the day. But you might be wondering how all this has to do with our spiritual journey, and the point is that time is an illusion. I love this quote. Time is relative and flexible, and according to Einstein, the dividing line between past, present, and future is an illusion. So reality is ultimately timeless. This sounds pretty bizarre from the view of classical physics, but from the view of consciousness theory and spirituality, it fits in perfectly. Do you see that we are back to the idea of viewing time from our consciousness and spirituality and what we hold important in our lives? When we say that we do not have enough time, we are living in lack, and we are also telling a lie. We do have enough time in God time, and God time is our time as long as we realize that it is, and God time is truth, capital T, truth. The human condition of us likes to stress us out and make us believe that we don't have enough time, we are not enough, we can't do enough, and all of that is just a bold-faced lie. It is. We have to stop saying such nonsense and affirm that time is expansive because it is. Eckhart Tolle states, say that fast enough, stress is caused by being here but wanting to be there. Yeah. We worry over what happened last week, last year. We worry sometimes even about things that happened 10 years ago. How crazy is that? And then we stress over what we're going to do tomorrow, how will we pay our bills next month, what we're going to do when we want to quit working and retire because we're not going to have enough, to survive. We're going to be living on the streets because God knows we didn't save enough. And in reality, in our spiritual consciousness, none of that stuff matters, does it? It doesn't matter. It's just stuff happening on the outside. We do not live in lack. There is no lack in this universe. And when the outside world is telling us that and it is expressing that, that's okay because that's not who we are spiritually. We live in abundance and we never know where our good will show up. We sometimes look at life from two perspectives, our past and our future. But it's hard for us to look at just right now, today, in this now moment. And I have several Eckhart Tolle quotes because he's all about the power of now, about this now moment, about living in the present moment. And here's another one for you. The only thing you ever have is now. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Just right now, in this now moment, this is what you have. And I recently watched this video, which really got me on this whole subject of time, that we are time in motion. But I was watching this video, and it said that most people feel like the past and the future are moving, and that they are just standing still. And if this was true, then that means we're going to relive everything in the past and the future over and over again. Of course, some people do that, don't they? Mm-hmm. Some people just keep living the same stuff over and over again because that's what they think in their head. That I am standing still and everything else is moving. Whoops, sorry, Judge. Moving around me. I told you about that something. That's why he moved, because he was afraid I was going to leap on him one of these days. But the thing about it is, if we know and believe that time is expansive and that we are time in motion, then we are the ones moving, and the past and the future are standing still. You get that? And that's what the video revealed too, which I totally got that. Because that changes everything, Because then that lets you know that you can't do anything about the past, you can't do anything about the future. All you can do is do what you are doing and move through life and allow time to be expansive. Now, you've seen those commercials on TV, or you've seen little video clips or whatever, where the background is frozen and the people are moving. That's kind of how we are. Really, we are like that in the spiritual mode. We are moving and breathing and having our being in the essence of God, and everything else is standing still. And if we think about our lives that way, it does make time expansive, and it makes us be able to see that whatever we're doing throughout the day, that there's an abundance of time to get it done. That we don't have to worry about anything over here or over here, right? Now, some scientists say the past, present, and future exist all at the same time. And I kind of get that too. Because let's look at this. That's me. This statement I just made, with every word I spoke, was becoming the past as I was in the present, speaking into the next word from the future, thoughts of my head, from my head. I should say from my head. Right?
Right.
Yeah, so you can see how that all exists at the same time.
Yes.
And yet, did it really matter? No, because I'm in this now moment. I am here right now with all of you trying to have a spiritual experience. Well, I am. Not trying, I am. And on this level, we can also see how we are the ones moving. And all those words that I just spoke there, they're in the past now. And we are moving forward. So we can do that with our thoughts. We can do that with our words. We can do that with our actions. And like I said earlier, it's kind of like being at home and nobody knowing what you're doing. You know, if you sit on the bed all day and just lay there, and somebody calls you, they don't know you're laying in the bed and then you laid there all day, do they? No, unless you tell them. But that's kind of like the same thing about our past and future. Whatever has happened out here, it doesn't really matter. What are you today? Where are you living from today? How are you expressing from today? That's what matters. But everyone sees things differently and everyone experiences things differently, especially time. We've all been there where our friends or family start telling a story and you're right along with the story and then they start saying stuff and you start making that face. What are they talking about? That isn't how that happened. No, they don't even, and then you want to jump in and tell them, no, that isn't it. That's not the truth. No, I didn't do that. Or so-and-so did that. Or another sibling did that. That's exactly what happens with time and space. Sometimes we don't even know what's going on, or somebody else has a different perspective, and that's okay too. But again, it allows us to know that it doesn't really matter what has happened in the past, because everyone has their own feelings. But we can fix any of these kind of dilemmas that show up by simply realizing that we have to accept what is. Here's another Eckhart Tolle for you. Accept, then act. Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. This will miraculously transform your whole life. Now, you might think, oh, that's difficult to do, because you can get in this whole kind of idea. But we can practice. We can practice each and every day. For example, you're busy doing something on your computer, or you're busy doing something in your house, and your friend calls. And they start in with their whole story. You know, going on and on and on. Hadn't even bothered to ask you if you have time to talk, or is this a good time, or whatever. Talking away, talking away, talking away. Finally, you give your 2 cents worth, and you say, I gotta go. Hang up the phone. And then you're sitting there, go back to what you were doing, and say, God, why did they call me right now? I'm in the middle of something, and they're just interrupting me, and blah, blah, blah. We go there, right? Anybody ever go there?
Yeah.
Yeah? And I get it, because we get in this zone, we think, oh yeah. But we have to realize that we have to change our behavior in that moment, that we have to adjust to the now moment. So, for example, another example is, you know, I have this little 8-week-old guy that's been changing my whole life and making me realize about the now moment, because babies, you know, you can't say, hold on a minute, I'll call you back. You know, it doesn't work that way. And the thing is that I have found myself, though, stopping and not stressing. I mean, I swear, I've spent probably 3 or 4 hours in one given time on the couch holding him, just loving him and cooing him and trying to appease him. And I'll tell you what, even in the screaming, crying, I still wouldn't want to miss one of those moments, because it's all been so beautiful. And I think this is living in the now moment. This is allowing everything else to be set aside, there I go again, set aside, and just know that I want to be here right now, looking at every expression on that face, seeing every eyelash grow. I mean, just embracing that now moment, because that now moment will never be there again. And babies grow and change fast, and you really see the differences that happen in the nuance of a newborn. And the thing is, like I said, you can't put them on hold. You can't say, I'm going to get back with you. No, you have to be there. So for me, what it has done is made me realize that the now moment is the most important. Because in that now moment, I can sit there and pray and send love and be in that beingness that we are meant to be in each and every moment of our lives. And I don't ever want to miss any of that. And I have learned that time is expansive during that time with him. And the minute then Warren comes along, takes him back, or Grace gets home and takes him back, then the cool thing is that I seem like I have enough time to get everything done. I mean, this week it was Thursday morning, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to finish doing some stuff for church. There's only one thing that I wanted to get done that I didn't get done this week, but it was something new, and I needed to spend a lot of time with it. But it was so funny, because I went, wait a minute, I did get it all done. And yet I spent all this time with the baby. But I said to myself, I said, that's what practicing is about. That's what being in the now moment, practicing being in the now moment. You find out all the things that you want to get done can get done. And that's what's cool about our lives is when we figure that out, we find out that we have time to pray, to meditate, to come to church, to be in that oneness, to just experience all the good that is in every breath that we take. And it puts us in that place of time in motion for every event in our life. But how can we live in that present moment without being stagnant and without moving nowhere? Think about that. And how can we realize that our past does not matter, yet at the same time set goals for the future without trying to live in some place out there? Because we do have to set goals. We do have to follow those kind of things. And how can we be that time in motion with every moment of our lives? But these questions are easy to answer when we look at Charles Fillmore. Whoops. Okay, that's a quote that I totally missed. Time has no power over one who dwells in the mind of God. There is no time to the mind of one who realizes omnipresence. Nothing will transfigure the human race and renew the body so rapidly as the denial of both past and future. So can you just set those aside as a denial and affirm the now moment? Because when we center in on that truth, on God, and stop thinking from our small M mind and start living from our big M mind, everything changes. Because we breathe into this now moment and realize that we are here right now. That we're not in the past or the future, and we don't have to be stagnated in there. And the result will be that time is a blessing to us and not a nemesis. And we don't have to hold on to the past. We can let go of the past and let it be a different point in time from a different lifetime. I think of some of the stuff in my past, and I think, that wasn't me. That's somebody else. And I like to think that that's what we do. We are moving forward spiritually and in our lives to a place where we will not even recognize any of that because it doesn't matter. But we can have faith and know that whatever comes in the future will be for our highest good. When we release any worry and know that we have enough time and embrace that truth. And embrace the truth that we live in the abundance of all things, especially time. And when we do that, guess what? We can affirm together, and let's do it together. Oops, it's supposed to say, I am time in motion. I am time in motion. Thank you for being here today. God bless you.